Story of an accounting hack on Australia TPB supervised training. Video 2, Settling in Australia. Back in the 1970s, Australia was still a young country and surprisingly, the Australian dollar was worth 10% more than the American greenback. Australia was continuing to absorb migrants as it was beginning to steer away from the White Australia policy. With a bit of luck, I was able to land on my first job in Melbourne after around 6 weeks, as the office manager of a well-established motorcycle company in Melbourne. The office headquartered in the CBD in Melbourne, with a branch office in Richmond, and the operations were employing some 20 workers. Being a small to medium-sized business, the position of the office manager had to look after all the importing, accounting, taxation, and general administration of the business. The business was the national distributor of Harley-Davidson of the States, Lavrada and Piaggio of Italy, Lambretta in India, and dealers of most Japanese motorcycles like Honda, Yamaha, and Suzuki, etc. Although I was an associate member of the UK Institute of the Chartered Secretaries and Administrators, I did not have a degree. Therefore, I enrolled at the then Victoria College, the predecessor of the Victoria University in Melbourne, to study part-time. Strictly speaking, with the exemptions I got from being an ACIS, I could have completed my business degree with 6 more units out of a total of 24. However, as I wanted to become a CPA in Australia, I needed a degree with all the prerequisite subjects. I ended up studying a total of 12 more units to acquire my bachelor's degree in business, major in accounting. I finished work around 5 p.m. and although I had only 2 or 3 evenings for my lectures and tutorials, it was my practice to travel from work to the college library every evening when I would spend 3 to 4 hours to attend classes or to do my assignments. It was usual that by the time when I arrived home, it would be around 9:30 to 10 p.m., a time when all members of my family would already be sleeping. It was customary for me to take out my dinner from the oven and watch a bit of TV, while eating. Work to me was the priority, therefore I would work overtime at the expense of my studies. So it took me 3.5 years to finish my part-time degree, which could have been completed in 1.5 years if I were to study full-time. Anyway, I managed to acquire my degree in June 1984. Then in January 1987 I became a CPA, a qualification I held for over 20 years before I gave up because I was not deriving any real benefits. In essence, I was paying some $700 a year for membership, for the privilege of retaining the title of a certified practicing accountant in Australia. Meanwhile, all members of our family were settling in well, because the children had been attending schools in Nauru with English as the medium of instruction. Although I insisted on speaking with them in Cantonese, they took the easy way out by communicating in English, with the result that while they can speak Cantonese, they do not read Chinese, and they need to use English in explaining more complex matters. From a financial point of view, as both my wife and I were working, we were able to purchase our first home, a 3-bedroom unit in Noble Park. While working full-time with the motorcycle company, I also carried on working as a tax agent on a part-time basis. In the next episode, I shall continue my story on how I survive a period of turmoil in my working career as an accountant in Australia in the 1980s. Viewers are invited to subscribe and to visit our website at easytax.com where you will find all published and unpublished episodes in this series.